I really appreciate the invitation to come here. I've been to Brazil before, but a long time ago, and whenever anybody is open to talk about the issues of enterprise architecture, I'm very happy to talk about it because I really believe. I don't know whether you heard me talk this morning, but I believe this is the issue of the century. And if you're not going to do enterprise architecture, you're not going to be a player in the information age next 100 years or so. Well, I think that's really true. So anybody who will hold still, wants to talk about architecture, I'd be happy to give them my thoughts. So I was delighted to come down here to share. I knew it was an enterprise architecture conference, so I was happy to share my thoughts about it.
Do you think Brazil, we are ready and mature to get in this point?
Well, I mean, there's good news and there's bad news. I think the playing field is fairly level. Nobody is really ahead. There are places where there's more experience maybe than some places have more experience than other places, but the places that have more experience, they have to unlearn things. The places that don't have a lot of experience, they don't have to unlearn so much. But we all have to learn something. Okay, we're all kind of, the playing field is level, so we're all learning. I'm learning. This is fairly new idea. It's 50 years old or so. We don't have 1,000 years of accumulation of wisdom around this subject. We have a few decades. So there's a lot more to learn. And, anybody can learn it.
What do we have to to start to work with architecture?
Well, one thing is I argue that we, the IT community, bring to the table, bring to the enterprise in the information age, the drafting skills. We know how to build models. We know how to describe things. Okay. Now, the kind of things we have described historically are implementation things. We do manufacturing descriptions. And I'm saying we need to use these skills to build engineering descriptions, not manufacturing descriptions. You want to build the engineering descriptions from which you create the manufacturing descriptions. Okay, so it has an adjustment to our modeling capability, but we're actually good at models. We're good at abstractions. We can think abstractly, and we're good at transcribing ideas graphically. Basically, we're good at that's a way to transcribe things. Actually, we're even good at storing meaning, building a database that stores meaning, semantic structures. We're good at this kind of stuff. We know how to do it. There's no reason why you can't do enterprise architecture kinds of things. We're not doing enterprise architecture because the stress level to get to implement is so very strong. Okay, so we're basically building systems as fast as we possibly can. Well, we should siphon off some of this energy to learn how to build primitive models, architecture models, get them into inventory, and then reuse them in the implementations. Okay, but there's nothing technical that keeps us from doing it. It's a lot of work, and it takes creativity, but there's no reason why the information community folks can't do this.
It can be the difference in the fail and the success.
It's not going to make a difference today, but when you look out, you don't have to look very far. A decade. Think about this. How long was the last decade? Man, it went by like a heartbeat. Well, it's got the same thing. That next decade is going to go by like a heartbeat, and so you better have some preparation, or I don't think you're going to survive. Actually, I mean, I don't believe it. I mean, the logic on this is pretty strong. Now, people say, "Well, we're not failing right now. Everything is working." Yeah, that's true. But how about Libya? And how about Egypt? And how about General Motors? And how about AIG and Goldman Sachs? And how about the big guys? fundamental problem, the economic catastrophe that's happened, they didn't have any architecture. They didn't know they couldn't put a valuation, for example, on the bad mortgages. They didn't know how much they had. They had no idea. So, and they're trading, derivatives off of this stuff. Well, I mean, there's just, that's an illustration. If you had some way to have visibility and to manage it, you probably would have been in good shape. They probably wouldn't have got into trouble to begin with. Okay, so people say, well, everything is good now, we're working. Well, maybe things are not so good.